Greetings, brave adventurers. Join us as we embark on an immersive journey through the diverse landscape of World of Warcraft's Melee DPS specs. If you are completely new to the game, the DPS has one main job: to do damage. And with a plethora of choices, it's no small feat to choose the perfect fit for your playstyle. In this in-depth video, we'll delve into the compelling reasons why and why not to play the first half of all of the mesmerizing Melee DPS specs. Shortly, I will release part 2, which will contain the second set of Melee DPS specs. A couple of quick notes before we begin. 1. I plan on not only doing Melee DPS, but also range DPS, tank, and heals in a multi-part spec guide. 2. I try to focus on spec-specific weaknesses and pros, but some reasons can span over multiple class spec combos, like the Assassination and Subtlety Rogue both lack toughness. 3. This video may eventually become outdated due to abilities changing, but I try to focus on abilities that have almost always been around. And finally, please like and subscribe if you enjoy this content. Now let's dive on in. First off, we have Havoc Demon Hunters, a demon hunter specialization that taps into chaotic demonic energy to become a mobile and agile melee fighter. Havoc Demon Hunters rely on swift attacks, mobility, and eye-catching visual effects. Reasons why you should play. AoE damage. Havoc Demon Hunters excel in dealing area of effect damage, making them strong choices for fights with multiple enemies or adds. Abilities like Blade Dance and Eye Beam can quickly eliminate groups of foes. Survivability. With abilities like Metamorphosis and Blur, Havoc Demon Hunters have tools to mitigate damage and sustain themselves. They can also use Demonic, self-healing during Metamorphosis, enhancing their survival capabilities. And reasons why you shouldn't play. Saturated class population. Demon Hunters are a popular class, and Havoc is one of their 2 specializations. This can lead to a higher competition for raid and dungeon spots if you are interested in in-game group content. They also don't have great utility. Compared to some other classes, Havoc Demon Hunters have limited utility and support abilities for the group. Their toolkit is more focused on personal mobility and damage, which can make them less desirable for certain roles in organized group content. And the verdict. Havoc Demon Hunters were introduced during the Legion expansion and have grown very popular. They can transform and utilize probably the coolest weapon in the game, Warglaives. So if you're looking for a super edgy backstory and overall gameplay, this is for you. And then next we have Fury Warrior, a warrior specialization that embraces unbridled rage and dual-wielding weapons for frenzied melee combat. Fury Warriors deal rapid attacks and excel at dealing damage to multiple enemies at once. Reasons why you should play. Dual wielding. Fury Warriors can wield 2 two-handed weapons simultaneously. Yep, I didn't mispronounce that. 2 two-handed weapons, leading to increased attack speed and more chances for critical hits. This contributes to their fast and frenetic combat style. Simplicity. Enjoy this straightforward rotation of Execute and Raging Blow, making Fury Warriors accessible even to newcomers. Warriors as a whole typically have simpler specs, and Fury is no different. Reasons why you shouldn't play. Resource management. Fury Warriors rely on managing their enrage stacks and other resources effectively. This can be challenging, as mistimed abilities or poor management can lead to periods of lower damage output. They also have single target limitation. While Fury Warriors excel at burst damage and dealing with multiple targets, their sustained single target damage might be lower compared to those other classes that specialize in single target encounters. And the final verdict: if you are looking for a more simple class with good survivability, you can choose this one. It has always been known as the Healing Warrior class, as when they fight they can get their health back. They also are the only spec in the game that can dual wield 2-handed weapons, which from a cosmetic angle is pretty cool. And the brother of the Fury Warrior, we have the Arms Warrior, a warrior specialization that focuses on precision and strategic attacks. Arms Warriors wield a 2-handed weapon and rely on carefully timed abilities to control and damage opponents. Now for the reasons why you should play. Strong burst and sustained damage. Arms warriors boast the capacity for both fierce burst and sustained damage, combining Moral Strike and Colossus Smash. Execute phase. Arms warriors have a strong execute phase, where their abilities become more potent against enemies with low health. This can make them particularly effective finishers in encounters. Now, reasons why you shouldn't play. Rotation complexity. Mastery of the Arms Warrior rotation, encompassing cooldowns such as Blade Storm and Avatar, demand precision and practice. Hitting Blade Storm at a time you need to use Heroic Leap or Charge can lead to a missed opportunity. Cooldown reliance for AoE. To perform well in AoE situations, Armed Warriors need to rely on their cooldown abilities such as Blade Storm. This can make their AoE damage output feel more bursty and less consistent. Verdict. Blade Storm. That's right. What more do you need to know? Your character literally spins around with his blade and does strong AoE damage to enemies nearby. If you're looking for a hairy-chested, strong-armed spec, this is for you. And now, taking a little bit of a turn, we have the Survival Hunter, a hunter specialization that emphasizes survival in close quarters combat. Survival hunters use traps, melee attacks, and their loyal pets to take down foes, offering a unique hybrid playstyle. Now for reasons why you should play. Melee and ranged abilities. Survival hunters have a unique playstyle that combines both melee and ranged abilities. This versatility allows them to adapt to different combat situations and engage enemies from various distances. We also have the pet synergy. While hunter specializations have pets, survival hunters have specific talents and abilities that enhance the synergy between themselves and their pets, increasing both their own damage and their pet's effectiveness. Now for reasons why you shouldn't play. They typically have less burst damage. Survival hunters generally have less burst damage compared to some other classes or hunter specializations, making them potentially less effective in burst-oriented encounters. Then we have the pet management. While pet synergy can be a pro, it also requires additional attention to pet management. Ensuring your pet is positioned correctly, using its abilities optimally, and not causing unnecessary complications can be challenging. Now for the verdict. If you see your pet out there fighting and think to yourself, hey, that looks pretty fun, then this spec is for you. It allows you to fight side by side with your pet, and it's a pretty great time. Now for some holy energy, we have the Retribution Paladin, a paladin specialization that channels the power of the light for righteous melee combat. Retribution Paladins are known for their high burst damage and self-sustaining abilities, while also offering support to allies. Reasons why you should play. Their utility. Paladins in general bring a variety of utility to a group, including blessings, auroras, cleanse, and abilities like lay on hands for emergency healing. Retribution Paladins can contribute to the group's overall utility while dealing damage. They also have great self-healing. Retribution Paladins have access to several self-healing abilities such as Ward of Glory and Flash of Light, which can help them sustain themselves in combat and reduce their dependency on healers. Now for the reasons why you shouldn't play. They do have limited AoE damage. Retribution Paladins may have limitations when it comes to dealing with multiple enemies at once. Their AoE damage might be less effective compared to classes specialized in AoE situations. Mobility. While Retribution Paladins have some mobility tools, they may struggle to maintain consistent damage when facing highly mobile targets or during encounters that require a lot of movement. Verdict. If you thought priests were cool, but maybe a little too soft for you, try this beast of a holy man. Instead of pushing enemies towards the light, this spec will literally bring the hammer of justice down onto their head. If you want to judge your enemies, this is for you. And now for a not-so-holy spec. The Unholy Death Knight, a Death Knight specialization that employs disease, necromancy, and undead minions to deal damage. Unholy Death Knights have a unique summoning aspect, making them versatile in both single-target and AoE situations. Now for the reasons why you should play. For the pet synergy, Unholy Death Knights have access to a permanent ghoul pet that fights alongside them. This pet adds extra damage and can provide utility through abilities like Leap and Gnaw. They can also call on more powerful allies with abilities like Apocalypse and Dark Transformation, amplifying your arsenal. They also have pretty good self-sustainability. Unholy Death Knights have access to abilities like Death Strike, which allow them to heal themselves based on damage dealt. This self-sustain can be valuable for survivability, especially when facing tough enemies. Now for reasons why you shouldn't play. They do have a complex rotation. Unholy Death Knights often have a more complex and demanding rotation compared to some other classes. Managing diseases, pet abilities, and other resources effectively can be challenging, especially during high-stress situations. Now for the resource management. Unholy Death Knights use a resource called Ruins and Runic Power. Balancing these resources and making optimal decisions about when to use specific abilities can be intricate and requires practice. Now for the verdict. During the Lich King cinematic, if you were excited when the hordes of undead awakened, then this spec is for you. It really brings out the Scourge in Death Knight, and utilizing multiple undead can be an unholy delight. The emphasis on the Plague also allows for strong AoE and damage over time, getting applied to enemies. Now for the cold shoulder on the Death Knight tree, we have the Frost Death Knights, a Death Knight specialization that wields icy powers and necromantic abilities. Frost Death Knights are known for their strong freeze and slow abilities and also burst damage, using a variety of frost-themed attacks to freeze and shatter foes. Now, reasons why you should play. They have a simplified rotation. Frost Death Knights often have a simpler and more straightforward rotation compared to other classes, making them a good choice for players who prefer a less complex playstyle while still dealing competitive damage. They also have a strong burst damage. Frost Death Knights are known for their powerful burst damage, especially with abilities like Obliterate and Frostworm's Fury. This makes them effective in dealing high damage in a short amount of time. Reasons why you shouldn't play. The lack of complexity. While some players enjoy the simpler rotation, others might find the Frost Death Knight's mechanics and abilities to be less engaging and lacking in depth compared to other classes. Also, the resource management. Frost Death Knights, just like their brothers Unholy Death Knights, use a unique resource called Ruins and Runic Power to perform their abilities. Balancing these resources and managing their cooldowns effectively can be a challenge and impact their damage output. Verdict. Let's look at the Wrath of the Lich King cinematic once more. If you were excited when he picked up Frostmourne and all of those cool ice magic things started to stick to his blade, then this is for you. Also, one of your abilities is named after Sindragosa, and it's pretty cool. And that is the first half of all of the Melee DPS specs in World of Warcraft. Remember, part 2 is on the way, and keep in mind the ideal choice resonates with your unique preferences, style, and desired gameplay. So heed these intricate insights, consult your heart, and forge ahead with confidence. Let me know in the comments which one you would like to try and if you are new or just looking for a change of scenery. Thanks for watching, and like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.